Good morning, students. Our subject English. Topic name Divisions of India. Three divisions for India. India. Excellent. Last period we will learn about the three visions for India. In this topic, we will learn about the two visions. First is the freedom, and second is the development. Here, first I will read this point and then I will give explanations. India must stand up to world. I have third vision that India must stand up to world, or no one will respect us. Only strength respect strength. We must strong not only as the military power but also as an economical power. Both must go hand in hand. We are why why are we in India ambassador recognize our own strength, our achievement? We are such a great nation. We have so many amazing success stories, but we refuse to acknowledge them. Why? We are the second largest producer of wheat in the world. We are the second largest producer of rice. We are the first milk production. We are number one remote sensing satellite. Look at the Sudarshan, Dr. Sudarshan. He has transformed the tribal village into self-sustaining, self-driving unit. There are millions of such achievements, but our media is always only with the bad news and failure and disaster. That means third vision here given two visions. First vision is the freedom, and second vision, that means second dream for the India is the development. That means in these two visions, our country is converted into developing into developed country. Then India must stand up to world. Stand up to means being brave and facing challenges. Here given that India must stand to the world. I have third vision that India must stand up to the world, or no one will respect us. That means third vision is the India must stand up to the world. Stand up to means to bring or facing many challenges, and the world are no one will be respect us. Only strength respect strength. We must be strong not only as a military power but also an economical power. Both must go hand in hand. That means in our country, we are not only strong our military power but also we are strong our the economical power also. Both must go hand in hand. That means we are also strong only both are, that means the military power as well as the economical power. Why are we in India embraced to recognize our own strength or our achievement? That means why we are the India so embraced to recognize our strength, our achievements. That means here the India embraced with recognizing the our strength, our achievement. We are such a great nation. That means at that time our country is such a great nation. We have so many amazing success stories, but we refuse to acknowledge them. That means in our India, many of the stories of the many stories are the successful or amazing story, but we are the refuse to acknowledge them, or we are the refuse recalling them. Why? We are the second largest producer of wheat in the world. That means we are the second we are the second largest producing in the wheat product. Then we are the second largest producer of rice. That means in the world, our number is the second number in the world in production of the wheats and rice. We are the first milk production. That means our country is the first position in the milk production. We are the number one in remote sensing satellite. That means remote sensing satellite means man-made satellite launched into the space for the communication. That means here new word remote sensing satellite. Satellites means man-made satellite. Man-made satellite launched man-made satellites launched into space into space for communication. For the communication. That is mean we are our country are the number one for the man-made who is the launched satellite for the communications. Look at Dr. Sudarshan. He was transferred on tribal village into the self-sustaining. That means Dr. Sudarshan who was the transferred the tribal village into the self-sustaining. Self-sustaining means providing for one needs. Self-sustaining. Self-sustaining. That means providing for one's needs. That means our country is the second position in the pit rice, then first position in the milk production, and also we are the number one for the man-made satellite who is this launched in the space for the communication. There are millions of such achievements, but our media is always only with the bad news. That means here given the in our country many of the stories or many of the achievement achieved in our country, but media highlight only bad news and failures and the disasters. That means our media is focus on the only bad news. Next, do we not realize that self-respect comes with the self-reliance? Self-reliance means confidence, to self-support. Reliance means self-reliance means confidence. Confidence or self-support. Self-support. That means, do we not release the self-respect comes with the self-reliance. That means, self-respect comes from our self-support or confidence. I was in a Tel Aviv once and I was reading the Israel newspaper. It was the day after a lot of attack on the bombardment and the death had taken place. The Hamas had struck, but the front page of newspaper had the picture of Jewish gentleman who is a 5-year had transferred his desert land into the orchard from a granary. It was the inspiring picture that everyone woke up to. The glory, details, killings, bombardment and death were inside the newspaper, buried among the other news. Isn't it possible in our country? That means I was in a Tel Aviv once and I was reading a Israeli newspaper. That means at that time the uh, the writers read the Israeli newspaper, and that time it was the day after day lot of attack and bombardment, and they had taken place at that time. At that place, many attacks and bombardments on this place, and many of people's death had taken place. The Hamas has struck. At that time, Hamas has a struck on this place, but this front page of newspaper had a picture of Jewish gentleman. At that time, we see the picture of the Jewish gentleman who was the fire had transformed his desert. That means in the Jewish gentleman who was the converted the or transformed the desert land. That means the Jewish man who was the converted his desert land into the orchards, farm and granaries. That means granaries. That means he converted the desert land into the granary and orchids. It was the inspiring picture that everyone woke up to. That means this is the inspiring pictures taken on the first page of newspaper. The glory details killing. Glory means involving bloodish and violence. That means the glory details killing, bombardment and death were inside the newspaper. Viewed among other news. Isn't it possible in our country? That means in our country there are many news related to the Viruda among the that means this many news are related to the killings, bombardment and death were inside the newspaper. But Viruda among these news and isn't possible in our country. That means it is possible in our country. No, that means in our newspaper. Our newspaper is highlight on the many news of failures and the disasters and bad news. I want to live in the developed India. That means we are, or all of you live in the, all of you want to live in the developed India. Another question: why are we as a nation so always with the foreign things? Another question we are given: the why are we as a nation so always with the foreign things? That means we are used many foreign things. We want foreign TVs, we want foreign shirt, we want foreign technology. Why this always the everything imported? Do we not release the self-respect come with the self-reliance? That means here lastly like ask the questions you want to. That means everyone want to be foreign things as like a TV, as like shirt, as like any technology. Why this always with the everything importance? You want to that means you or we want to we are always with the everything important. Do we not realize that self-respect comes with the self-reliance? That means here given the one line. That means self-respect comes with the self-reliance. That means self-respect comes from the your confidence or self-support. I was in Hyderabad giving this lecture when a 40-year-old girl asked me for my autographs. That means the writers was in Hyderabad giving this lecture. At that time there were 40 years old girl asked for the autographs. I asked her what her goal in the life. At that time the elders or Kalam was asked a question to her girl for the what her goals in life is. At that time she replied, I want to live in the developed India. That means at that time he easily give the answer to the Kalam. I want to live in the developed India. For her, you and I will to build this developed India. You must proclaim. Proclaim means declared confidently to all. That means at that time you and I will have built this developed India. You must proclaim. That means all of you or all of us declared here the I will have built the developed India. That means our India is today's condition is the developing India, but all of you converted developing to developed India.